For as long as any of us can remember, we've been taught there are 7 continents. It's one of those fundamental facts you learn as a kid. Asia, Africa, North and South America, Antarctica, Europe, and Australia. 7 huge landmasses that have defined our maps and shaped human history. But what if I told you our maps have been incomplete this whole time? That a massive 8th continent, almost 2/3 the size of Australia, has been hiding right under our noses, submerged beneath the Pacific Ocean. This isn't some myth or ancient legend. It's a geological reality that is forcing scientists to rethink the very definition of a continent. Today, we're exploring the incredible story of Zealandia, how this underwater world stayed secret for so long, and what its discovery means for all of us. So, to really get why Zealandia is being called our hidden 8th continent, we first need to tackle a surprisingly tricky question. What actually is a continent? The answer isn't just a giant piece of land. Geologists have a specific checklist. First, it has to be significantly elevated from the surrounding ocean floor, even if parts of it are underwater. Second, its geology has to be diverse, made up of all sorts of rocks, igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary, not just the dense volcanic basalt that makes up the seafloor. Third, its crust needs to be thick and less dense than the oceanic crust, which is what allows it to float higher on the Earth's mantle. And the fourth, most debated rule, it has to be big and distinct enough to be called a continent, not just a smaller microcontinent. For decades, the land under New Zealand was seen as just a bunch of scattered fragments. But as our technology got better, a new picture started to form, revealing that these fragments were all part of one unified landmass that ticks all the geological boxes, a landmass we now call Zealandia. Uncovering Zealandia was a modern scientific detective story that played out over decades. For a long time, its existence was just a theory, first seriously floated back in the 1990s, but there was no definitive proof. The biggest problem was obvious. How do you map a continent that is 94 to 95% underwater? The breakthroughs came from a few different advanced technologies. Satellite gravity mapping gave us the first hints of just how huge it was. These satellites can detect tiny changes in Earth's gravity, which revealed a massive, thick slab of continental crust hiding beneath the ocean. Then research ships went out on ambitious missions, dredging the seabed and drilling deep into the ocean floor. The rocks they pulled up weren't the usual oceanic basalt. They were granite, schist, and limestone, the geological signatures of a continent. Scientists then combined these clues with magnetic anomaly mapping. When volcanic rocks cool, their magnetic minerals align with the Earth's magnetic field at that moment, creating a permanent record. By reading these magnetic stripes on the seafloor, they could piece together how different parts of the crust had formed and shifted over millions of years. When all the data was put together, the conclusion was clear. Hiding beneath the Pacific was a single, connected landmass of 4.9 million square kilometers. It wasn't just a fragment, it was a fully fledged, if drowned, continent. So, if Zealandia is a continent, where did it come from and why did it sink? To answer that, we have to go back over 100 million years to the supercontinent of Gondwana. Gondwana was this enormous landmass that included what we now know as Antarctica, Australia, South America, Africa, and India. And tacked onto its eastern edge was the land that would one day become Zealandia. Around 85 million years ago, huge tectonic forces started ripping Gondwana apart. Zealandia began to pull away from Australia and Antarctica. But it wasn't a clean break. As it drifted, the continental crust of Zealandia was stretched incredibly thin, almost like pizza dough being pulled apart. This stretching made the landmass much weaker. As its crust got thinner, it also got less buoyant, meaning it couldn't float as high on the mantle anymore. So, over millions of years, it slowly began to sink. The sinking wasn't even everywhere. Recent finds show that between 50 and 35 million years ago, violent tectonic shifts, maybe tied to the formation of the Pacific's Ring of Fire, caused some parts of Zealandia to rise up while others sank even deeper. By about 23 million years ago, nearly the entire continent had slipped beneath the ocean, leaving only its tallest mountains above the water, the islands we know today as New Zealand and New Caledonia. Zealandia had become a lost world. And this is where the story gets really fun to think about. We know the science, but what if we just let our imaginations run for a second? What if Zealandia never sank? What would our planet look like with an eighth continent? Geographically, it would be stunning. A vast land of peninsulas and high plateaus, with a central mountain range running down its spine, the same mountains that form modern-day New Zealand. The climate would be incredibly varied. The northern part might be warm and tropical, while the south, closer to Antarctica, could be a cold, windswept tundra. These mountains would create huge rain shadows, likely forming deserts on one side and lush rainforests on the other. The effect on life would have been incredible. Isolated for over 80 million years, Zealandia would have been a laboratory for evolution, much like Australia. Can you imagine the unique species? Maybe the giant moa birds, once found in New Zealand, would have roamed across vast continental plains. Perhaps ancient reptiles like the tuatara would have evolved into countless new forms. It would be a biological treasure chest. And what about people? Humans only settled in New Zealand about 800 years ago, but a full-sized continent would have been a much bigger target for the master Polynesian navigators who explored the Pacific. They might have arrived thousands of years earlier, building sprawling civilizations. It's possible these cultures would have developed in completely unique ways, changing the entire story of human settlement on our planet. An entire continent's worth of history and knowledge might exist, all because the land stayed above water. The discovery of Zealandia isn't just a cool fact. It has major implications for science and culture. For starters, it challenges our old ideas about what a continent is, forcing us to look beyond what we can see above sea level. It shows just how dynamic our planet is, that continents aren't fixed. They can be stretched, submerged, and completely reshaped over time. Zealandia is also a geological time capsule. Its underwater basins hold a preserved record of Earth's past climates, ocean currents, and life, safe from the erosion that wears away at other continents. Studying these records could tell us so much more about our planet's history and help us predict its future. For New Zealand, the discovery has a deep cultural meaning. The Maori, the indigenous people of New Zealand, have long had a name for this land, Te Reo Maui, which can be translated as the hills, valleys, and plains of Maui. This name connects the geological continent to the legendary explorer Maui, who, in tradition, is said to have fished the North Island of New Zealand right out of the sea. The scientific confirmation of Te Reo Maui builds a bridge between ancient oral history and modern geology, adding a powerful layer of heritage to this rediscovered continent. From a geological footnote to a recognized if sunken continent, the story of Zealandia is a perfect example of where curiosity and technology can lead us. It's a tale of a lost world that was hiding in plain sight. This has led most geologists to argue that our planet has 8 continents, not 7. But the best part of this discovery is the questions it leaves us with. What other secrets are hidden in the deep ocean? What other lost worlds are just waiting to be found? The stunning reality of Zealandia proves that even today, the age of discovery is far from over. The story of Zealandia is an amazing reminder that our planet is still full of secrets and that there's so much left to explore. If you love digging into these hidden corners of our world and uncovering the mysteries of Earth's past, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. You won't want to miss where we're going next.